everyone. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to the Mugello circuit in Tuscany, in Italy. And there, as we celebrate the 30-year history of the Ferrari Challenge, you can see the Ferrari 488 Challenge car in all its glory. Of course, today's racing car is the 488 Challenge Evo car. And the grid is packed with Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers, as well as welcoming drivers from our Asia-Pacific region as well, with their Shell and Shell AM drivers, which means it's a very busy grid. Let's cross now to Marietta Evans.
Good afternoon again. Ferrari Challenge means a lot to young talents who want to use this fabulous one-make championship as a platform to take things to the next level in their racing career. For example, French pocket rocket Doriane, who is on pole today, just behind me, or also is very important for this rising star, Italian Eliseo Dono. We have seen so many brilliant moments already from Eliseo this season so far. Eliseo, you are P2 front row in Mugello. How do you feel about your chances to get a good result in here?
I found traffic in a lap quali, but now it's time to the race. Start and push. And hello, Ferrari.
Thank you. Good luck.
Eliseo Dono then, one of the rising stars, going from P2 for CDP Best Lap Team. Doriane Pin, once again, Scuderia Nicky Ironling's drivers. Once again, we take a look. So we've celebrated all season long the 30th anniversary of this wonderful one-make series. And there you can see the 488 Challenge car, then the pre-runner, if you will, to the 488 Challenge Evo that drives our series right now across all our categories. I think that's Christian Colombo that's going to be driving that car. I'm not absolutely sure. Right, let's go back to back down to the pit lane once again, or rather to the grid with Marietta.
Emanuele Tabacchi won Trofeo Pirelli AM titles back in 2019 and 2020, and this weekend we welcome him back on the grid. Emanuele, how does it feel to be back?
I'm so happy to be here. I was dreaming this for many months.
And how do you feel about your chances today from P4?
I'm not so happy, but they are really good drivers, so I have to be happy to be here close to them.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Welcome return to Emanuele Maria Tabacchi then. Just to the right of our picture there in the number 33 car. Good to see him back on the grid. He provided us with so much entertainment during his wonderful career in the Ferrari Challenge. So look forward to seeing him racing hard during the course of this race as well. We could also see Thomas Neubauer and John Vortique and Luca Nermi's cars on the grid as well. So, as I explained, it's our normal Trofeo Pirelli drivers and Pirelli AM drivers, and this Pirelli AM driver in particular, Ange Bardi, could very possibly seal the Drivers' Championship in this race. So Ange Bardi for SF code DEZUR IB Fast. There is Ange Bardi. And here we can see then the first of our drivers that are racing from our Asia-Pacific series. We've got some Pirelli drivers, Pirelli AM drivers, and also Shell and Shell AM drivers, all from our Asia-Pacific, because the final two rounds of their series takes place here in Mugello and also Imola, which is why we've got some 27, 28 cars on the grid. It's going to be a packed grid of cars. We'll try and keep you abreast of everything that's going on. The European cars will be coloured red, the Asia-Pacific cars coloured yellow, as you can see from the colour codes. And keeping his weather eye on the Asia-Pacific drivers for us is my colleague alongside me, Nico Spalek. Good afternoon, as we see this wonderful car then with the 30th anniversary livery make its way around this Mugello circuit. each and every one of the cars from the history of the Ferrari Challenge, evocative in their own way. And they each brought something very special to this wonderfully successful one-make series.
Yeah, definitely. We wouldn't be here without all these predecessors, and to have this packed grid of 27 cars of 488 Challenge Evos is certainly something to behold. And the context and the richness of the history makes it even more enjoyable.
Indeed so. And this is where we are. Please follow us on @Ferrari Races. We would love you to be part of the social media Ferrari family here in Mugello for the penultimate round of our 2022 season. The air temperature now is a really rather lovely 25 degrees, track temperature 32 degrees, and the conditions could not really be better for racing this afternoon. Much unlike the conditions that we found for qualifying this morning, which was delayed somewhat by fog. And certainly not having any impact on the track surface or condition now. And there we can see that wonderful car making its way around this Mugello circuit. So it's time for us to introduce just one of our drivers.
Ciao, sono Max Mugelli, pilota Eureka Competition del concessionario CDP di Perugia. Siamo qui in Toscana, esattamente a Scarperia, nel cuore verde del Mugello, e questa è la mia gara di casa. Correva l'anno 2002 quando con la 360 Modena riuscì a cogliere un bellissimo terzo posto nelle finali mondiali. Ricordi ancora il premio ricevuto da Michael Schumacher sul podio, fu un'enorme soddisfazione. 20 anni dopo, di nuovo nel Trofeo Pirelli, a difendere i colori della mia Toscana, anzi esattamente della mia città di Firenze. Infatti ho anche sulla vettura il giglio della città. Questa è la fantastica 488 Challenge Evo con cui mi cimento appunto nel Trofeo Pirelli. Un Ferrari è in continua evoluzione, soprattutto con questo nuovo kit aerodinamico. La vettura è veramente fantastica, soprattutto con la sua potenza, i suoi oltre 670 cavalli, una coppia incredibile, un cambio velocissimo. Una vettura che su una pista come il Mugello, dove tutte curve da quinta, sesta, settima, dà delle emozioni incredibili. Ok, divertiamoci qui al Mugello con emozioni Ferrari.
So the Ferrari 488 Challenge was unveiled at the 2017 Finale Mondiale. Powered with that 3.9-litre V8 engine, it was the first turbo used in the Prancing Horse one-make series. It was the most powerful car ever seen in the Ferrari Challenge, entering service in 2018 in place of the 458 Challenge. The engine development, combined with the car's chassis and aerodynamic innovations, allowed the Ferrari 488 Challenge to shave a second off track lap times compared with the previous 458 Challenge Evo. In terms of dynamics, the 488 Challenge saw the debut of the SSC. That is Slide Slip Control System, which improved longitudinal acceleration in cornering by up to 4.2% and ensured accurate management of the entry, travel and exit phases. The car's aerodynamics were thoroughly overhauled and enhanced efficiency due to the constant interaction between the engineers and the design center. What a car. And Max Mugelli, what a driver. He will be racing in this wonderful Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli race in just a few moments' time. It is time for the Richard Mills safety car to lead the cars away on their formation lap. We bring you the grid in full. It's another pole position for Doriane Penn, with Alessio Dono alongside P1 and P2 for those drivers. Thomas Neubauer and the returning Emanuele Maria Tabacchi go from P3 and P4. That is the second row of the grid. Before we find John Rortique and Luca Nurmi, they go from P5 and P6. That's the third row of our Trofeo Pirelli drivers. Niccolo Marinangeli, Trofeo Pirelli driver, going from P7, and Ange Bardi is the best of the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. Pole position for him. He could seal the championship today. Yuda Uchida for Trofeo Pirelli AM Asia Pacific goes from P9 with Marco Pulcini alongside. Nigel Schoendevert goes from P11, and Max Mugello, who we heard from just a few moments ago, he goes from P12. Christian Brunsborg, good to see Christian back. He's P13. Nicolo Rossi, P14. That is the 7th row. Alessandro Cozzian, Nobuhiro Imada, another one of our Asia Pacific drivers there, P15 and P16. Hanno Laskowski and Alexandre Boucher, they are P17 and P18. In fact, the 9th row of the grid. To the 10th row, where we find Kazuyuki Yamaguchi and Mikhail Boucher. Then it is Kanja Yagura and Jay Park, who go from P21 and P22 of our 27 cars, with Shigeru Kamuai and David Dicker. Then it's Baby Kai and Shimano Salernitano on the 13th row of the grid, with P27 going the way of Motahiki Isazaki. It's a big grid of cars, Nico. They're on their formation lap now. This is going to be an awesome race.
Yeah, definitely, and it's going to be a focus on both the race result and obviously the championship, especially in the European classes, where Doriane Penn has some chance, and Angebody really has a huge chance to seal the championship with 3 races to go. So we will keep you abreast on obviously what happens in the race, but also what it means for the championship standings.
Thank you so much, as always, Nico's Eyes. Here we have so many screens in our commentary studio here. And he has got more data available to him than race control. I kid you not. Right, cars are lining up side by side in grid formation. And, of course, the conclusion of the formation lap, and therefore the rolling start. The Richard Mills safety car then makes sure the cars are in order. It will peel off into the pit lane. And then it will be the responsibility of Doriane Penn and Alessio Dono to control the pace of the remainder of the rolling start across the timing line. Then we are going to be racing. Stand by. This is going to be awesome. 27 cars about to do battle on the Mugello circuit. Here we go. Well, it was a slow approach to the timing line. Alessio Dono and Doriane Penn absolutely side by side. Dono has just got the march on Doriane Penn, but she, of course, has got the inside line. But here comes Thomas Neubauer. Alessio Dono does go by. It's an awful start from Doriane Penn. Very unusual to see. And John Vortique puts himself right alongside her right now. As Alessio Dono then, I said it would be a drag race into turn number 1. Emanuele Maria Tabacchi and Thomas Neubauer having a real ding-dong here for P2. And it's Emanuele Maria Tabacchi that gets turfed out really rather unceremoniously into the gravel. Wow, that was a fantastic start from him. But Thomas Neubauer, very physical. And now Doriane Penn has got Thomas Neubauer ahead. So Doriane Penn then to P3. And Alessio Dono with an absolutely blistering start. In the first phase of the start, I thought he hadn't done enough, but then he did. Whether perhaps Doriane Penn just made a slight mistake going into turn number 1 or not and lost a gear change, I don't know. But that was absolutely brilliant start from Alessio Dono, Nico.
Yeah, definitely. Right from the get-go, he showed the pace he had in the car, and the same pace he used in qualifying to put it within a few 1,000ths of the Doriane Penn time, and he said he had traffic, so potentially he felt he was quicker anyway. He proved that, and now it's Thomas Neubauer in the all-French battle with Doriane Penn for P2 and 3, and John Vortique in P4. And there's Angebody. He is leading the AMS, and if he finishes anywhere ahead of Marco Pulcini, you know he is going to be champion.
That's the way it looks. And Alessio Dono then is going to try and stretch his legs over Thomas Neubauer, and he's done that. We'll get a live gap as they go across the timing line now, but it's about 1.2 seconds between P1 and P2, or it was through the last sector timing line. And here's Angebody. He has got Luca Nurmi right behind him now. Luca Nurmi's in a different category, of course, to Angebody, so he won't want to be in a big battle with him. And sure enough, between Alessio Dono and Thomas Neubauer is 1.223 as someone has made contact. And I think that is Marco Pulcini, Nico. I think it is. I might be wrong. I just caught a blue. We're going to have an immediate red. I'm sure of that. Yes, red flag. Red flag is called for. And that was a big moment on the exit. The fastest part of the start-finish straight, just before you start braking for turn number 1. And wow. As I say, I just caught sight of the blue livery color. Now, let's see as the cars come through here. Well, talk about the integral safety of the 488 Challenge Evo car. Did I call that right? That is Marco Pulcini. And he's perfectly okay, as you can see. Of course, he'll be a bit winded, goodness me. Not surprised by that. The medical car straight on the scene. Sit down, Marco. Let the medical team take a look at you. Oh, goodness. Just proving how the important in the design of the 488 Challenge Evo was the safety aspect. We have a red flag brought about then by that. And the great news is that we've seen Marco Pulcini outside of the car. And he was being attended to by the medical team. But by all accounts, it looked like Marco Pulcini was perfectly okay. The car actually rolled over. Such was the impact, and as I say, it was probably the fastest point of the circuit just before you start braking for turn number 1. So all the cars being filtered back into the pit lane. Now we have got a red flag, of course. There's absolutely no question about that. Claudio Garavini is the race director and is in charge of the race, and he immediately threw the red lights, quite rightly, and well, thankfully, no other cars making contact after Marco Pulcini, so all is okay insofar as we can tell. As I say, we've seen Marco Pulcini outside the car. He was being attended to by the very, very rapid medical team here at Mugello. So Alessia Dono then had overtaken Doriane Pin right at the start of the race. Thomas Neubauer also managing to really muscle his way into P2. And I have to say, Emanuele Maria Tabacchi really quickly became aware of just how physical Thomas Neubauer can be in terms of overtaking, because there was not a centimetre given between those drivers at all. So we have a red flag situation here at Mugello at the moment. Alessia Dono, Thomas Neubauer, Doriane Pin, the top 3 for Trofeo Pirelli. For Pirelli AM, it is Ange Bardi, and as Nico has said, if Ange Bardi finishes the race in that P1 position, in fact, all he needs to do is finish ahead of his closest competitor, which is pretty likely now, that's for sure. Let's get a replay of the start then, and Doriane Pin and Alessia Dono. Alessia Dono was, you know, actually determined right from the get-go here. And I just wonder whether Doriane was impacted by Thomas Neubauer pushing so hard behind, and that caused her to lose concentration just for a moment. Now, Emanuele Maria Tabacchi right on the outside of Alessia Dono. That position would then become owned by Thomas Neubauer, and Thomas Neubauer really squeezing the car of, and here we can see it, Emanuele Maria Tabacchi then out onto the gravel, and at that point, of course, he was always going to lose out because you lose the traction. So we are seeing it from on board here in replay. There's Emanuele Maria Tabacchi then rejoining way down the order relative to where he was in the opening part of the lap. And again, going on board so that we can bring you some of the action from inside these 488 Challenge Evo cars. The car ahead of you is the number 25 car of Alessandro Cozzi. At this point, we can see just how excited everyone gets inside the garages, and there inside the Scuderia Nicky Iron Links garage we were for a moment. They, of course, will be disappointed that Doriane Pin went from P1 down to P3. So here, Christian Brunsborg is out of the car, and I really rather suspect that they're looking at replays already, if they can. And Christian Brunsborg, it's a welcome return to Christian. Good to see him back in the 488 Challenge Evo car and in the Ferrari Challenge. Frederick Paulson is also here this weekend as well. He, another former Formula Racing driver in Ferrari Challenge. Good to see him. And Max Mugello's car to the right-hand side of your screen. We've just gone past. There is the car of Alessandro Cozzi, the number 25 car. Then the 89 car of Nigel Schoendevert, the Scuderia FMA driver, as we're taking our look down the grid here at all the drivers. And then the first of our drivers that we see here, Nobuhiro Imada, who's one of the Pirelli AM drivers from the Asia Pacific Series. There's Nicolo Rossi. And Nicolo Rossi there before we see the car of Christian Brunsborg here to the right-hand side of your picture right now, who is, as I mentioned, a driver for the Formula Racing team. Then we saw the number 85 car of Hanno Laskowski. So here is Doriane Penn then for Scuderia Nicky Iron Lynx. And Nico, I tried to call it in when we were looking at the replay of the start. There's Ange Bardi out of the car. I tried to call it when we were looking at the replay of the start there. I just wonder whether Doriane's rearview mirrors were so full of Thomas Neubauer that caused her to lose concentration and perhaps just an element of speed in that battle with Alicia Dono.
Potentially, not that she is generally known for losing concentration or focus at any moment, but certainly it looked like Dono just had the quicker car at that moment. From the moment the lights went out, he seemed to have that extra little bit of momentum and certainly got the overtake done way before he got into the corner. But equally, also other cars came alongside her, so it was part of that was Alicia Dono, but part of that was also that Doriane Penn, for some reason, just wasn't as quick as maybe some of the other cars. Just very briefly, Ange Bardi, he has clinched the championship, obviously not the way he would have liked to clinch it. And thank God we saw that Marco Pulcini looked very much all right. But officially, Ange Bardi, whatever happens in this race, he has done enough to take the championship in the Trofeo Pirelli AM 2022.
And as you say, we both know Ange very well, as we know as many drivers very well as we possibly can. Ange will not want to have won it this way. He will be the very first to admit that. I mean, with the greatest of respect, there was it was always very, very likely that Ange would seal the deal today. All he'd got to do was finish ahead of Marco Pulcini. With Marco now out of the race, there's no question of that. So Ange Bardi does become the driver's champion for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli AM. We can see Luca Nurmi there taking on some fluid, walking back to his car. This is Marco Pulcini, then the Altea Motors. Let's take a look at this, Nico. So Marco Pulcini. Now, I don't think there's contact from the car behind, but it's very difficult to tell from this angle. But in any event, it was a big impact, and there you could see the greatest sight that we could see all afternoon, and that is Marco Pulcini walking away from the car, and he's perfectly okay. Of course, the medical team were on the scene within seconds and checking him over, and I don't doubt for a moment that he will have gone to the medical centre to be checked over. Andrea Bertolini is standing there, as you can see, with Luca Nurmi and also Ange Bardi, and there they all are outside of the cars. And Ange Bardi then having sealed the Trofeo Pirelli AM Drivers' Championship by dint of the fact that Marco Pulcini is out of the race, but insofar as we can tell, he is perfectly okay. So lots of shaking heads going on at the moment, and you can see some damage to the back of the Christian Brunsborg car. Marietta Evans is down in the pit lane somewhere.
First of all, I want to say what a big sigh of relief everybody had in Formula Racing box, where Marco Pulcini also has his box, when we saw that he was walking away unhurt from that crash. We all felt so happy about it. I think I had tears in my eyes. And now I am with Alessandro Manzani. He's race engineer for Eliseo Dono, the Italian rising star we were talking about on the grid. We were talking with him. What do you make of his fantastic race start?
Well, the start was awesome. The first lap was even more awesome because he was leading with more than 1 second on the other. Red flag is better luck for us. Let's see if we can do it again another time. So let's hope so.
Obviously, this has neutralized all the gaps we had before. How do you see his race pace? Can he continue fighting for victory?
Well, we hope so. The race pace was good the first lap, but you know, race is long. The most important thing now is to stay focused, because red flag you can be distracted. You have to stay focused because there is another start, and then race is longer. Race is 28 minutes left, I think. So let's hope he goes on.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So there you can see some fluid absorbent material is being laid down onto the track there. That I think is pretty unrelated to what we saw. Maybe. Go on, Nico.
Well,
you're going to correct me.
Well, maybe given that it is turn 1 and turn 2, maybe that lends some credence that there was contact, which may have damaged another car's front.
I wasn't prepared to gamble on that. No, I really wasn't.
We obviously don't know. No, obviously we can't tell. It absolutely may be unrelated. I have to say, certainly we didn't see it. The way the Marco Pulcini car spun around while it was going in a straight line is not a traditional movement pattern of the 488 Challenge Evo. So there is some indication that maybe there was contact, but again, speculating about that certainly not something we want to do. Race control certainly will look at all the screens and monitors, and maybe we will get a resolution and answer that way. Doriane Penn, as we said, not necessarily the start she would have liked to have. Now, equally, she's not in a position in the championship where she has to take that too badly.
Right. Onge Bardi, who is known to us both and very well known to us both, and is, was a shoe-in to take the championship today. He has taken the championship, but probably not the way he would have wanted to. He's with Marietta.
Angie, tell us about this race start from your perspective.
Yeah, the race is difficult. I hope, first of all, the safe of Marco is okay. I don't see the accident. I saw the first corner is hard, but after I pass, I don't know exactly what happened. The principal thing is Marco is safe. I don't know who is an accident, who they are. So it's bad thing, because I would like to win the championship different like this. But if he's safe, it's okay.
Thank you very much, Angie.
Onge Bardi then, and there is Doriane Penn. And Onge Bardi then, as he echoed really what we were saying, Nico, that he wouldn't want to win the championship in this way. It was pretty likely that he was going to take the win, but there we are. It was good to hear from him.
Hi, my name is Luca Nurmi, and I'm driving for Formula Racing Denmark. Mugello track is really important to me because last year here I won the 2 last races of Ferrari Challenge Europe, and also the Finale Mondiale, which was the most important race for me last year. My long-term plans is to go to GT3, hopefully next year. And yeah, my biggest dream and goal is to win Le Mans 24 hours, so the focus is on GT cars.
And we were hearing from this young man, Luca Nurmi, for Formula Racing then, who is currently P6 in the race, P5 in class, as it had been suspended with the red flag. So Luca Nurmi, good to hear from him. He is, as he says, recalling very, very good memories of his performances here in Mugello. Here is Emanuele Maria Tabacchi now. As we're looking at his car, let's hear from him now. We caught up with him just ahead of the races this weekend.
Hi, I'm Emanuele Maria Tabacchi. I race in Ferrari Challenge Europe Pirelli for Rosso Corsa Racing. In 2019, I won the European Championship in Pirelli AM, and then the Finale Mondiale, so World Champion in AM. Then in 2020, I won the Pirelli Pro. Mugello, I know it very well. I won 2 times, but every time you come is something new. I mean, it's so technique, so difficult that also if you know it, you always find a bit to find the limit and how to achieve a good lap time. That is so beautiful going up and down the hill.
Emanuele Maria Tabacchi, a really, really good racing driver. And there's Alicia Dono then. And to his right-hand side is Matteo, or Babalus as he's known, who is driver coach to many drivers, and he's talking to Alicia Dono right now. You can see just how young Alicia is. I'll tell you what, Nico, there was absolutely no way he was going to be beaten right at the start of the race. He was going to take that P1, wasn't he? And he did it.
Yeah, no, very good driving, very consistent. And now, as we already heard, for him it's important to stay focused and do it again, basically, when the race restarts.
Indeed so. There we can see more of our competitors in conversations. Also in conversation down there is Marietta.
And I'm with Alice Menin, team manager for Doriane Pin. Alice, we are so used to seeing Doriane being unstoppable that something like this happens today, and it looks like it didn't go according to plan.
I think she just want to have some more action than the usual.
For our enjoyment.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, for sure she didn't have the best starts as usual, but I really hope she will manage.
We were talking, you and I, before on the grid about she's cool as a cucumber. So how do you think she's going to manage the race when it begins again?
I think she will get all the advantages. She will take all the advantages that she can, and she knows that she gotta do the best she can. So I think the strength she has is right because of this. I think she would just manage. She's as quiet as usual, so everything will be fine.
Let me add something. As a female in motorsports, if she won the title again, what a big achievement for your team after what Michelle did last year, for women in motorsports.
For sure, it will be a fantastic thing, also because for 2 years in a row with me, she last year, and Doriane this year, I mean, he will be amazing. No. I think that it's important that women can see that they can access the motorsport world and the environment, and I think she's really one of the best examples they can have.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
So more absorbent material going down on the track, as you can see, just to soak up whatever. We did see quite some damage, didn't we, on the back of the Christian Brunsburg car. That's for sure as well. So Christian's out of the car and the team are not working on the car, so presumably it's able to continue okay with no problems at all. And there you can see that trail of absorbent material around turn 1 and into turn 2 and 3 as well. So that's where fluid has gone down. And the marshalling team here at Mugello is always working very, very efficiently. We are the race has been suspended by a red flag following the incident with Marco Pulcini from Altea Motors. The latest information that we have is that he is okay. We saw him out of the car and was walking away, and then was attended to by the medical team here at Mugello very, very quickly indeed. But insofar as we are aware, he is perfectly okay, Marco Pulcini. And Alicia Dono leading for Trofeo Pirelli when the race was stopped. Ange Bardi leading for SF Côte d'Azur Cannes is the leader in Trofeo Pirelli Am, and by dint of being the leader in Trofeo Pirelli Am, he has won the championship. And that's the way it looks at the moment, and as you can see, the track team are still working very, very hard. Now, whether there was any damage done to the barriers with the contact of the Marco Pulcini car, I rather think that perhaps there might be, because we can see a number of vehicles over there at the point of impact, so probably some barriers having to be repaired as well, all of which takes time. Because the safety of the circuit has to be mandatory and of paramount importance, of course. So that is the situation that we can see from the various screens that we have here in our commentary studio to keep an eye on things, and the track surface team doing their work as well. This is Doriane Penn, then you can see with the Scuderia Nikki Iron Dame's team, and she is down there just contemplating what she's got to do when we go back to racing. And one person she's got to get by is the person that's in front of her, and that's Thomas Neubauer. He's with Marietta.
Thomas, it's not very easy, we have seen this year, to overtake Doriane Pin, but you did get to get ahead of her. So now that we know Marco is okay, tell us about the race start from your perspective.
I mean, starting from the front row, obviously it's a first good thing. Now being P2 ahead of Doriane, we know she's very fast, so that's a good point for me. So now I'm just focusing ahead on the 19, and then we'll see how it ends up.
You were also very fast this morning. They are having a very good weekend so far. How do you feel with your race pace?
I mean, it's only the second race for us this year. We haven't done any test days, anything. So we are still discovering a bit the car, the tires and everything. But I think the pace this weekend is not too bad. Unfortunately, this morning we had a bit of traffic in Sector 3, which I mean, yeah, for sure, put us on P3. I'm not saying we would have been on pole, but for sure we lost a bit of time here. But I mean, the pace this weekend is here, so now we just focus on the race, and we see next morning a new qualifying, hopefully without traffic, less traffic, and we see where we end up.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you.
Thomas Neubauer then in a discussion there with Marietta. And there he is, and Thomas Neubauer in P2 for the Charles Pozzi Courage team. And the race being led by Alicia Dono, the CDP best lap driver. And the leader in Trofeo Pirelli Am is Onge Bardi. Now, as I mentioned, we have got a number of Asia-Pacific drivers racing in their own race within this race, if that makes sense to you. And probably it doesn't. I haven't explained that very well. Yamaguchi is the best of those at the moment. He's the shell driver. Although I'm actually telling you something incorrect, because Imada for Rosso Scuderia is the best of the drivers at the moment. He's running P12 overall. I don't think there's anyone ahead of Imada at the moment. So a welcome to our Asia-Pacific drivers who are here this weekend as well. So the Live Drivers' Championship, you could see there just in graphics for the Trofeo Pirelli Am. And they were quickly whisked away, and the cars on the pit lane, as you can see, no word yet from race control as to when the race will be back. And there you can see having some trouble with the sun protection brolly that's going on there for Boucher. And we're going to hear from that very driver now, as if by magic.
Hi, my name is Michael Boucher, and I'm driving with Kessel Racing. I'm competing in the same championship as my twin brother. It's always something special and strange, because you always have a part of your mind for your brother. Is he okay? Is he doing good? Or something? And it's hard to be focused. We have two different type of style of driving. He's really more aggressive and more regular, I will say. But still, when we're fighting, we always try to be a gentleman, and if someone is faster, we try to keep it up and give some tips to grow all together.
Good to hear from Michael then. Alexander also racing as well, as he mentioned. So, number of spectators here of this weekend here in Mugello, which is always good to see. Always good to see. And we have, of course, just next venue is at Imola for the glittering Finale Mondiale event, which comes up next in our Ferrari Challenge calendar for 2022 as we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Ferrari Challenge. Looks like Josef Schumacher and Tommy Lindroth there on the banking enjoying the, well, not enjoying the racing at the moment because there ain't a lot going on because of the red flag, but it was definitely Tommy Lindroth and Josef Schumacher that you could see there. They are both drivers in the, and there's, I think that's David Dicker out of the car. They, of course, I'm referring to Tommy Lindroth and Josef Schumacher. They were both in the Copa Shell race a little while ago. And they are taking time to enjoy the Trofeo Pirelli racing as we speak. And here is the driver that is leading the suspended race, and that is the young Alicia Dono. And when you look at this image, Nico, and you look at just how young that young man is, if that's not a ridiculous statement, but there is so much talent there, isn't there, that we've seen already. I mean, you know, there is, this one-make series, the Ferrari Challenge, we already know what it can do to drivers in terms of elevating them to the next stage of their career. You know, we've seen drivers, being taken on by Competizione GT and becoming official Ferrari GT drivers. You know, there really is. This is a great place for your ambition to play out successfully.
Exactly, and going back to what Luca Nomi said about his ambition in Formula Racing to go up and become a GT3 driver, it's exactly the way Niklas Nielsen has taken. And talking about his aim at racing at Le Mans, Niklas Nielsen has done that and actually won at Le Mans with Ferrari. So that's exactly the path that Luca Nomi would like to emulate.
Absolutely. So Emanuele Maria Tabacchi, you can see there in discussion with Axel Sartingen. Axel Sartingen is another one of our Copa Shell drivers, and he is in conversation there with Emanuele Maria Tabacchi, who he is going to have to do some overtaking from his position in the race now, because he is much, much further down the order than he would like to be. This is John Vortique taking on some fluid as we speak. John Vortique currently P4 in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli, and it was John Vortique, if my memory serves me, who's P2 in the Drivers' Championship at the moment, chasing Doriane Penn. And in this race, as it has been suspended, he's still chasing Doriane Penn because she sits in P3 at the moment. The number 525 car is driven by Jay Park for FMK. He is one of our Asia-Pacific drivers. And the number 55 car that you can see here is Michael Boucher, the Kessel Racing driver. And Alexander Boucher and Michael Boucher both competing together. And then we see the Kamui 527 car, as well as we take a trip down the pit lane, and in the pit lane is Marietta Evans.
And I am with Christian Brandsborg. Christian, a quick word with you. We have seen some amazing moments from you this year, and also it's been like ups and downs, like a roller coaster, some also big disappointments. So how do you feel with this season so far?
For sure, it hasn't been the season that I wanted. I didn't get the best start, and then I got a concussion and a test in Hockenheim, and then I was forced to take a break. So yeah, that have kind of been the story of this season. So yeah, just trying to finish off good with in the last 5 races.
We did see though that you do have the speed.
Yeah, for sure. I also think I have the speed, but yeah, now I just need to focus on coming back. It has been a while since I last sat in the car, so yeah, just trying to focus on doing a good job with also with my new coach. So yeah.
And we now have weather conditions so different from this morning. Give us a sense of how does the track feel out there this afternoon?
The track feels really good. There is very good grip. Of course, it's a bit hard for the tires with the heat, but it's okay. You just have to manage the braking. Then I think you're going to be all right.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good to hear from Christian Brunsborg. Fantastic young, talented driver, no question about that. And as he quite rightly says, he's not had the season that he would have liked. However, Christian will dig deep and come back even bigger and better than ever before. So we continue our look down the cars then. The number 66 car there of Luca Nomi, you just passed. This is the number 22 car of Marangelli. And as we continue our look, and now we look at the front of the pack of cars. Now, when we were looking at the track just a few moments ago, we were getting one of what we would call our beauty shots. It looked to me like the repairs to the barriers were reaching their conclusion, so I don't think it's going to be too long before we go back to racing. Merely conjecture on my part, Nico, but all I can do is observe what we can see.
Yes, absolutely. We don't have any indication from race control officially on any restart time, and obviously the moment we go back to racing, that means we will have a few minutes of warning, and then probably it will be a single file restart. But that's something that we will find out from race control, what they decide, how the procedure is going to continue. But hopefully it's not going to be before too long.
No, I don't think we are too far away. There's Luca Nomi, who's just quietly contemplating and reflecting on things. So we are being told by information that's brought to us by our director in the OB truck that we're probably around about 10 or 11 minutes away from a restart. So Emanuele Maria Tabacchi, then the Rosso Corsa racer, returning to the Ferrari Challenge, which is very, very nice to see. And there we can see. So we think probably about 10 or 11 minutes before we will go back to racing in this penultimate round of the Ferrari Challenge for this season, before we head off to Imola for the Finale Mondiale event. Follow us at Ferrari Races, please, if you will. We would love you to be part of our social media family. And their confirmation that the that'll be estimated restart time is at 16:15. So that is almost as near as makes no difference, exactly 14 minutes away. So estimated restart time, forgive the typo, is at 16:15. There we have it. That's where we are at. So with the local time now at 16:06, we're not far away from this race being restarted. And it is, what happens is when the red flag comes out, the clock is immediately stopped. Now, what I can't tell you is whether any changes will be made to the duration of the race. That will be something that race control will decide. I doubt it, to be honest with you. It's not a ridiculously packed schedule here, and there we don't anticipate necessarily the duration of the race changing, but we will see. That is the car of Hanno Laskowski. I was having a chat with Hanno at lunch today. Hanno is always a great guy to talk to and a very, very good driver. And Hanno Laskowski currently sitting in P15 on the result at the moment, and I said he was a nice bloke to have a chat with at lunchtime. This is him in person now.
I'm racing with Zakowski Van Om Racing. I mean, at the end, I guess it's like a boy's dream. So yeah, I was practicing a lot to participate, and now the dream came true, and I started to race here. The car is extremely powerful, so it's very fast, and I guess the biggest challenge is to fight your own fear in the car, because the car is just crazy fast. This year was not easy for me, so I don't have that high expectation, but for sure the goal is a podium for me, so we will see. Whatever happens, it happens.
Cheers, Hanno. Very, very talented driver, and as he says, his ambitions, and there we can see just about everything has been completed. So the restart time now is 16:15. Local time now is 16:08, so not long to wait before we go back to racing once again. Given to understand, Marietta is with Luca Nurmi now.
Luca, first of all, such big happiness in your box when we saw Marco was okay. That's for sure the best news today.
Yeah, that's a relief when I heard that Marco crashed. He's my teammate and also a good friend, but luckily he's okay.
And now that things are going to be a bit neutralized, how do you see your chances of catching up with the front runners?
Yeah, the car felt good in the beginning of the race, and for me, I think I can fight from the victory.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Luca Nurmi then, and there we can see just some of the spectators on the banking here at Mugello to enjoy the racing, which will resume in but a few moments' time. The red flag was brought out because of Marco Pulcini making contact with the barriers. And Marco Pulcini, the latest information we have is that he is perfectly okay, which is the best news. So the race was neutralized, the red flag came out, every driver back into the pit lane, where we have had a period of pause, if you will, and we are about to go racing once again. It's a complete reset and restart to the race, with the time of the stoppage, 27.5 minutes of the race remaining. We wait to see if the duration will alter. I rather think not. Nico, what's your view on that?
No, I don't think so necessarily. What I think is very nice is to see Tommy Lindroth and the other drivers here mixing up with the spectators, still in the race suit, which is very much in character for Tommy. No, I think we will see almost the full race distance remaining. So we have no other indication. And with the start only 5 minutes away, That probably means the cars will file out, maybe 1 or 2 installation laps potentially, and then I think it will be a single file restart into the race with the 27 minutes remaining, or maybe they will even start the clock the moment they exit the pit lane. So that's something to...
That's what I think will happen, and I don't disagree with you in that. I think they might give them a couple of installation laps because of the fluid that's been dropped around. Just allow them to get everything back up to temperature once again. We will see. All of this is our ideas of what we think is going to happen, and. There we can see all the drivers, including Doriane Penn, then being rebelted into the car, ready to go out and race. This race suspended then with the red flag, brought about by virtue of the fact Marco Pulcini had an incident at the end of the start-finish straight with some barrier damage which had to be attended to as well. There's Christian Brunsborg then. He's about to get back into his car. We are now just under 4 minutes away from the race getting underway. This is Ange Bardi then, who has done enough to seal the Trofeo Pirelli AM Championship in Europe. He needed to finish ahead of Marco Pulcini. Well, he has done that because Marco Pulcini regrettably is out of the race. There we can see the Luca Nurmi car, and the rest of the cars, of course, all lined up in the pit lane, and there you can see the Luca Nurmi cockpit, if you will. I was hoping that our camera would get in just a little bit closer, but it didn't. But there we have it, and some of our Asia Pacific drivers who are about to jump into their car as well. Big thumbs up. Thank you. And 3 minutes now, 3 minutes before the race resumes. Ferrari Challenge then coming to you live from Mugello. And whilst we've had to wax lyrical for quite some time, we will be going back to racing in just a few moments' time. There is Thomas Neubauer, and there is Doriane Penn.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting when the race resumes, obviously primarily in the Pirelli class with Alessio Donno, Thomas Neubauer and Doriane Penn. Will Alessio Donno have the same drag again as he had at the start? Will he be able to stretch his legs, and will Doriane Penn make a better job of the start this time and maybe attack her compatriot ahead of her? Because even though for her primarily it's the championship, she certainly doesn't want to be beaten today, and P1 is where she lives. That's her home address. So gonna be an interesting restart for sure.
That's very fair, very fair. The trophy mantelpiece does indeed exist at number 1, P1. That's where Doriane Penn likes to be. So here we go then, with the cars about to make their way out of the pit lane. When the lights go green once again. Reminder to you, we've got our Trofeo Pirelli drivers and our Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. We've also got Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers from Asia Pacific, as well as Shell and Shell AM drivers from our Asia Pacific series as well. That is Thomas Neubauer, you can see with his eyes closed there, focusing on what he's going to have to do through turn number 1. Of course, in his eyes, he will be focused on what he can do to get by Alessio Donno. Doriane Penn will be wanting to go by both of them. And there we can see Baby K's car and the 505 car there of his Isozaki. And that is the number 549 car that we can see of David Decker. And the number 71 car there of Germano Salernitano. So we can hear the klaxons going off then. We're just 60 seconds away from this race resuming. A reminder, the color codes for the graphics that you see, if it's red, it's a European driver. If it's yellow, it's an Asia Pacific driver. So the 488 Challenge Evos then are roared back into life once again. Big thanks to all the team here at Mugello who've worked so hard to make all the clear up that they need to do in as quick a time as possible. Local time now is around about 4:15 and just 25 seconds away from the... And we get a green flag behind the safety car, and sure enough, the clock does immediately tick down as well. So I think, Nico, probably a couple of laps behind the safety car, just to allow the drivers to get used to the conditions that present themselves now through turns 1, 2, and 3. And let's see where we go from there.
Yeah, no indication on the number of safety car laps, but certainly safety car called for, everybody filing out of pit lane, and that means the drivers certainly will prepare to be ready for racing after one lap until they're being told differently. So it's getting the tires back up to temperature, getting the brakes especially back up to temperature. So once they hit that green flag, they will be ready and their cars will be ready as well.
Absolutely, they're looking for the responses from the inputs that they make into the car, and as Nico says, the warm-up operation is critical to that. So and that's precisely why the safety car is leading the cars out again. And the clock continues to count down whilst we are in the safety car phase. So it all counts in terms of the duration of the race. So the final cars making their way through turn number 1. Let's pick them up now as they make their way through this chicane here. This real rather roller coaster Mugello circuit, 5.2 kilometers long. Alicia Dono P1, Thomas Neubauer P2, then Doriane Penn P3. Best of the AM drivers is Ange Bardi ahead of Alessandro Cozzi and Nigel Schoendeverder, who is running in P10. And of course we have our Asia Pacific drivers racing as well with Yamaguchi. Safety car is only going to do 1 lap, Nico. So that surprises me. I did think that the safety car may stay out as we look at Jay Park there from Asia Pacific. I thought the safety car may stay out for a couple of laps, but clearly they feel it's going to be okay for it to be brought in at the conclusion of this lap. And, you know, actually, we're going to get thick end of probably 23.5, maybe even 24 minutes of racing to come.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see the drivers didn't have a lot of time to weave and prepare the cars. Now it's not very cold now, especially given we're in October. Track temperatures, air temperature is fine, but equally that's not what the tire temperature and the brake temperature necessarily indicate. So it's going to be interesting, and we've seen many times safety cars breed safety cars. We hope that's not the case today, and everybody will be ready and careful when we go back racing.
Well, there is no doubt about it. They're all going to be bunched together, aren't they? In single file, though, as opposed to side by side in grid formation. And there you can see Alicia O'Donoghue. He was doing the most aggressive weaving of anyone there, trying to get some temperature into those tyres to dissipate that temperature through the brakes and the rims onto the tyres. And Thomas Neubauer was making his presence felt as well as we get ready to go racing once again. This is Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli as the cars head in towards turn number 1. Ange Bardi and Luca Nurmi, you can see there Luca Nurmi putting himself to the inside of Ange Bardi. And here, Thomas Neubauer, you can see the back end of the car. There's a real streak of rubber there as Thomas Neubauer accelerates up through turn 1 into turn number 2. And Doriane Penn is taking a look as well. There's John Vortique and Luca Nurmi and Ange Bardi. So Thomas Neubauer is making his presence felt on Alicia Dono very early on, which is precisely what Thomas Neubauer needs to do, I would suggest, in the Charles Pozzi Courage driver. So now Alicia Dono beginning to stretch his legs just a little bit. There is the number 3 car of Max Mugello. And the rest of the cars file through. Here it is, Dono from Neubauer, from Pan, from Vortique. Ange Bardi ahead of Schoendeverder and Alessandro Cozzi. They are the top 3 in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli AM. So Alicia Dono then with about, when they cross the sector line, about 5/10 of margin. This is a battle for P2 in Trofeo Pirelli AM between Schoendeverder and Alessandro Cozzi. There is the number 25 car of Alessandro Cozzi. There's Nicolo Rossi. Where's Nicolo Rossi in class at the moment? P5, I think, and that's P12 overall. So around the roller coaster of this wonderful circuit here in Tuscany, there's Christian Brunsburg with quite a bit of the car missing from contact, obviously, that happened in the first part of the race. And Thomas Neubauer now is not able to take it to Alicia Dono. Alicia has really opened up that margin. It was 8/10 when he last crossed a timing line, and that would have been through sector 2. So we'll probably get a live gap any moment now as he's crossing the timing line. Now it's 1.1, so he's gained another 3/10 in the final sector, Nico.
Yeah, definitely. He looked like not the strongest and the quickest right at the restart, but now it looks like he's really got it back under control and pushing. Nicola Rossi, he actually has got the Imada car from the Asia Pacific series ahead of him, so he's running in P4 in the AMs, and he would like to get on the podium position, but that means he has to first get past the Asia Pacific AM driver ahead of him, and this is exactly the battle that we're looking at. And Nicola Rossi certainly a little bit more of track knowledge, you would think, here, but he has to find a way by.
I would agree with that, and he has had a rich vein of form, hasn't he? Until race 2 at Silverstone last time around, so he would be delighted to be able to get back onto the podium once again. As you say, he's got one of the Asia Pacific drivers to get by, which would allow him to get onto terms potentially with Alessandro Cozzi, and they are beginning to line up behind him now, including the hard-charging Emanuele Maria Tabacchi. Now, if you can cast your mind back to the original start of the race, which was quite some time ago, I grant you, Emanuele Maria Tabacchi, whoa, as that played right into the hands of Nicola Rossi, because our Asia Pacific competitor running wide now into the gravel there. I was saying Emanuele Maria Tabacchi was really rather unceremoniously lent on and found himself in the gravel, exactly the same position that we've just seen. Now, he is a formidable competitor, and therefore he will be pushing these drivers very, very hard.
Yeah, definitely. He wants to get up the road now. For him, the advantage was that everybody was bunched back together, but as you can see, he's still quite a bit away from the other Pirelli drivers, but yes, certainly he will try to make up every position he can as quickly as possible. And Christian Brunsberg, the first in his target sides, well, dispatched like nothing. We see a replay of that excursion from Imada, I believe.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It was Imada that found the gravel, in fact almost found exactly the same stones that Emanuele Maria Tabacchi was rolling over right at the beginning of the race. But a good save there from Imada, holding on to that car nicely. It's so easy to get it sideways in the gravel, and he didn't do that, so brilliant car control. The gap between Dono and Neubauer now up to 1.553 seconds. Doriane Penn, for my money, Nico, is not really looking too aggressive here. If anything, I think John Bortigue is getting a bit closer to her. It's the battle going on for the final podium place in Trofeo Pirelli. John Bortigue and Doriane Penn, of course, have had a season-long battle, haven't they, in terms of P1 and Drivers' Championship. As to be said, most of it going the way of Doriane Penn. However, if John Bortigue thinks he's got an opportunity to put one on Doriane Penn, then he's certainly going to try and do that.
Yeah, definitely, no question about it. And Doriane Penn running in P3 very unusually for her. Yes. Now, obviously, she can focus on the championship. She knows if she finishes P3, P5 even every race, she will have it wrapped up before the final race. But she's a racer. She won't take P3 lying down. But thus far, she hasn't been able to put it. And that is the Alessandro Cozzi. And with 19 minutes remaining, that car doesn't look like it's going to move out of there. How did that happen? That is Tabacchi, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That was as forceful a move on Alessandro Cozzi as Emanuele Maria Tabacchi received, I believe, earlier on in the race. And I'm sorry to say, Nico, I think where that car is, it will be the safety car.
Yes, and we can see it here from our commentary window. We can just see the SC sign here at the pit perch, and indeed around the track. SC safety car, 18 minutes, 40 seconds. The clock is ticking down. Now, it's not going to be very difficult to recover the car from there because it's right next to the tarmac, but it will take a few minutes, and that brings all the gaps back down. Alessio Dono, bad news.
That's the bad news for Alessio, isn't it? Great news, of course, for Thomas Neubauer, who will be thrilled with that. Absolutely thrilled, because all of a sudden that 1.1 second gap becomes 0. So there you can see the stricken Alessandro Cozzi car as we fly our drone right above it. I have to say that was, in my opinion, far from AC's fault.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'm sure that Claudio Garovini, our race director, will have a keen look at what happened there. And dare I say, I think he will have a clear opinion about that, but we will find out in but a few moments' time, probably after the safety car has come back in. As we can see how the safety car, the Richard Mille safety car, picks up all the cars, Alessio Dono first and foremost. everybody right behind him. So the standing in the AMs, Angibardi, Nigel Skondewort and Nicola Rosi up into P3. Then it's Tabaki Brunsberg in the Asia Pacific. It's Imada, Yamaguchi and Park.
Well done. You're right. So Alessandro Cozzi then out of a podium place, and you can see who's moved up and where during the course of the race. Nicola Rosi up 4 places, Max Mugello up 4 places as well. They are some of the big, and so Yamaguchi also up 4 places, J Park up 5 places. So the movements there on the left-hand side of the screen that you can see. Into the Rosso Corsa garage we go right now. And on board with Max Mugello, and Max at the moment is running P6, P7 in the Trofeo Pirelli class, and it's P8 in the race overall for the CDP Eureka competition team. And with the safety car called for once again, 16.5 minutes of the race remaining. And unfortunately, there is no question about it, Nico, in my mind, that when we have a red flag or a safety car, that, you know, because all the drivers and all the cars get bunched up together once again, it almost encourages, you know, the potential for another safety car, because, of course, all the drivers are much closer than they were. That's why we do see so often after stoppages and such like that the safety car makes a really rather more regular appearance than we would like, perhaps.
Yeah, obviously the cars are more closely together, and then you've got the fact that maybe one or the other driver doesn't have the tires or the brakes up to perfect temperature, and when you're so close together, even a minimal mistake can have that knock-on effect. And well, 15.5 minutes remaining as we see guests and spectators here in the pits watching on the spectacle of this Trofeo Pirelli race, half race distance as we go on board with Uchida. Great to see how they're working. You know, even in this safety car condition, you can already guess how much work it is to pedal and steer that car around this track in race mode.
I remember many years ago going around this Mugello circuit with one of the official Ferrari driver coaches, and that is Christian Colombo, who took me for a high speed, and by high I mean blooming high speed ride around the Mugello circuit. And you know, there isn't, honestly, Nico, with the exception of the start-finish straight, that's about the only time you've got really to relax is exactly the wrong word, but just rest your focus and concentration just for a moment. It is a track with so much going on. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, definitely. No indication yet on when the safety car will come back, and we're just entering Sector 3. But we're looking at the restart once again.
So this is a replay of the restart following the red flag. And all the cars making their way on the start-finish straight there. And you can see Luca Nurmi and Ange Bardi were having a something of a battle, but Ange Bardi very, very sensibly just allowing Luca Nurmi through, because they're in different categories, and therefore it made no difference whatsoever to Ange. And then trying to go around the outside here, you can see Alessandro Cozzi's on the inside there. And you can see some of that fluid absorbent material being kicked up by the tires. They make their way through turn 2 and 3. This is Max Mugello then chasing down the number 22 car of Marin and Jelly. Max Mugello then on board, and a great shot of the cockpit of the car. You can see the display on the left-hand side of your screen. And here the number 549 car of David Dicker then, who is another one of our Asia Pacific drivers, and we're delighted that the Asia Pacific drivers here are completing their season as well here in Mugello, and also in Imola as well, the 30th season of our wonderful Ferrari Challenge season, as the safety car comes in and we go back to racing again. What can Thomas Neubauer do now, Nico? Is he going to have a go going through turn number 1? I don't think he's close enough to be able to do it. Alicia Dono getting a very, very good start. Of course, he controls the pace of the rolling, or the restart rather. Tell you what, under braking, Thomas Neubauer got much, much closer to Alicia Dono. So here they are then. This is the fight for P1 and P2 between Alicia Dono and Thomas Neubauer. Thomas Neubauer in P2 at the moment. Doriane Penn, P3, being chased down by John Vortig. Then it's Luca Nurmi. The top 5 cars are all Trofeo Pirelli cars at the moment. And Alicia Dono is absolutely throwing this car around. And talking of throwing cars around, Emanuele Maria Tabacchi, as you can see on screen, is getting a drive-through penalty for causing a collision. That's the reason we saw the safety car out, and that is because Alessandro Cozzi was thrown into the gravel really rather unceremoniously, Nico.
Yeah, definitely, and no big surprise there. No. We very much saw the scene, and I think Tabacchi will hold his hands up and say, yeah, that was on me, certainly. And yeah, there we go. There is Angebardi, leader in the AMS. Coming through, Nicola Rossi, Nigel Skondeword, P3, P2 in the AMS. And Alicia Dono has not quite broken away, but he's already got a full second of an advantage over Thomas Neubauer. So he really seems to have the track and the car perfectly under control, and the team really giving him a great car to work with, a CDP best lap team.
And Thomas Neubauer, of course, he's in this position that we've talked about many times before, where he wants to fight with the car ahead, but he's also very minded that he wants to defend from the cars that are approaching him as well. And when you've got 2 drivers, the likes of John Vortig and Doriane Penn, chasing down, and that's exactly the position at the moment. Doriane Penn is not going to be happy with P3, although the point you made earlier in that she will have a weather eye on the Drivers' Championship and think what is the most important, and banking points is the most important. She's not going to go all out and wreck her chances in terms of trying to get by Thomas Neubauer. She would rather settle for P3, knowing that the closest competitor in the Drivers' Championship is John Vortig, who is currently behind her. Therefore, she's got kind of nothing to lose here, Nico, or rather, she's got nothing to gain, but everything to lose if she tried to push too hard, because John Vortig could be able to take advantage of that. So that's why I think that actually we're not going to see too much movement here. The only movement we are going to see is Alicia Dono completely devastating the rest of the pack with a gap now of 1.4 seconds. So he's buying 100ths, and they turn into tenths on just about every sector, isn't he? This is Angebardi, who will have done enough to seal the Drivers' Championship for the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. And, of course, his big arch enemy in the Drivers' Championship, Marco Pulcini, regrettably is out of the race. Latest information we had from our control people is that Marco Pulcini is okay. That's very, very good to hear. He was involved in a crash earlier on, which brought the race under suspension with a red flag, but he is perfectly all right. So Alicia Dono then with 1.354 seconds of margin when last crossing a timing line. And it was a sector line, and he's into the final sector now, running down through this final turn, heading up towards the start-finish straight. What have we got? 9.5 minutes of the race remaining, with Alessio then with a huge pace, although on that lap didn't increase by quite the margin that maybe I expected him to. If anything, Thomas Neubauer just taking a couple of 100ths back, but we are talking about absolute tiny pieces, Nico. And in comes Emanuele Maria Tabacchi to serve his drive-through penalty for leaning on Alessandro Cozzi and causing Alessandro Cozzi to be out on the in the gravel. There's Doriane Penn then for Scuderia Nicky Iron Lynx. Now for Doriane Penn, who has had, I mean, I've got the results here, Nico. There is only one race in the entire season so far. I mean, there are only 2 races she hasn't won, and only one of those 2 races was she not on the podium. So it's been a remarkable run of success for Doriane Penn, and if everything stays the way it is at the moment with 8.5 minutes remaining, she'll still be on the podium, taking a P3.
Yeah,
we will see.
Definitely. Very, very good. There is Nicola Rossi. He's running in P3, and you can see the car ahead of him. That is Nigel Sconderwood, and they're very, very close together. That is for P2 and P3 in the AMs. So that's also a battle that we keep an eye on, and that gap has come down significantly over the last lap or two.
Oh, and there's a mistake, and that plays nicely into the hands of Nicola Rossi. Surely, oh, there's contact, Nico. And Nicola Rossi, unfortunately, oh no. Please get it going, Nicolo. He does. That was really, really unfortunate. Nicola Rossi then was diving to the inside of Nigel, and you can understand that. But unfortunately, just a little tap between the two of them, and that was enough for it to unsettle Nicola Rossi's car.
Yeah, it was very light on turning in, and you know that, as you described, that very, very little tap, which wouldn't hurt you when you're going straight. You know, when the car has rotational momentum, there you can see just a little bit of understeer, and then the two collide, and then that was it for Nicola Rossi. Race royally ruined.
Yeah. Good avoidance by Christian Brunsborg, who of course will inherit P3. Christian Brunsborg, who managed to avoid the spinning Nicola Rossi car, will now find himself in that P3 position. Now, Nicola Rossi has returned, but he's a long way down now, and regrettably, I really rather fear that his podium aspirations have gone quite far south.
Yeah, absolutely. Christian Brunsborg inherits that P3 and is awarded for his avoidance.
Yep.
By getting that P3 position. Yes, Nicola Rossi, his run of success, unfortunately, interrupted. Now, John Watique is looking like he's getting a little bit closer to Doriane Penn.
I said that, didn't I, a few moments ago? It just looks to me like John Watique has got a little bit more pace than Doriane. Whether Doriane is just almost lulling him into a false sense of security. I mean, what would be the point? There's only 6 minutes of the race remaining, and that converts into, you know, not very many laps, I would suggest. I'll tell you what, Schoeneveld is going to have to be on his mettle here, because Christian Brunsborg is all of a sudden spotting the opportunity to have P2, Nico.
Yeah. Sconderwood is taking a little bit of a wide line through that turn.
Yeah.
It was the same turn that Nicola Rossi tried to get into. Didn't work, and Sconderwood overall had a very, very good race today.
Yes.
Holding on to that P2, and it's 5.5 minutes that he has to defend that position. It would be a very, very welcome podium for him.
Yes, it would, and equally it will be a very good welcome back for Christian Brunsborg, who has had a period of not racing and is back with us now, and delighted that he is back as well. And he's currently in that P3 position and closing in on Schoeneveld right now. Now, as they climb uphill, this is where Christian Brunsborg gets closer. So defensive operation then is underway from Nigel. This is the returning Alessandro Cozzi, who was nerfed out of the race earlier on by Emanuele Maria Tabacchi, who picked up a drive-through penalty for his contact there. And the order then, Ange Bardi leading the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers ahead of Nigel Schoeneveld, and Christian Brunsborg is the car that is center of our focus right now, with 4.5 minutes of the Trofeo Pirelli race remaining. Eliseo Dono is leading by very nearly 2 seconds. In fact, it's 1.958 between Eliseo Dono and Thomas Neubauer. And there indeed is the race leading car. And Doriane Penn just seems to have broken away a little bit now from the attentions of John Watique, which I do feel were a bit closer. Here you can see the gap between Thomas Neubauer and Doriane Penn, with 4 minutes remaining by my reckoning. Nico, 3 laps left to run in this Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli race.
It's going to be close. Just when will he close? No, I think it's going to be just the 2 more.
Wow.
Just by a few seconds, as John Watique's just been given the final warning for a track limit.
Oh.
So he has to still try and attack if he wants the podium, but equally has to be careful about where and how exactly he does it. I believe we're just 3 or 4 seconds too little on the clock to allow us to have 3 more laps. So I think it's this plus 1 more.
Right. So Doriane Penn now, for my money, is getting closer to Thomas Neubauer. Has she quite deliberately left it to the very end of the race to give her the tyre longevity potentially to try and mount an overtake on Thomas Neubauer? Let's wait and see as she gets closer now. This is Doriane Penn and Thomas Neubauer fighting over P2. Alicia O'Donoghue is 1.940 seconds ahead in P1, so not troubled by Thomas Neubauer necessarily at the moment. And Doriane Penn she's not going to throw caution to the wind, because that would be stupid. To bank the points for P3 would be far, far better than banking no points for a DNF. Driving very much with her head, of course. Alicia O'Donoghue for the CDP best lap, leading. And there you can see John Vortique, who, as Nico, my colleague alongside me, has said, he's received his final warning for track limits. Doesn't want to be making any more track limits excursions, because that would involve a penalty, which would be disaster for him. So here is Alicia. There is Thomas Neubauer through the final chicane. And there, Neubauer and Doriane Penn then fighting over this P2, P3 place at the moment. Into the final turn they come. So Alicia O'Donoghue is heading towards the timing line now. Now, it's when they cross the timing line that will intimate and give us indications of how many more laps we are going to get. And I think we've got this one plus one more, because we've not seen the final lap indicator.
Yeah, it was just, you know, it was like the fraction.
Oh, mistake from Thomas Neubauer. Forgive me interrupting you, Nico. Through turn number one, Thomas Neubauer made an error. Just lost grip, and Doriane Penn got a bit closer. So maybe this fight for P2 is going to ramp up a little bit with what we think is going to be 2 more laps left to run. Sorry, Nico, for interrupting you.
No, it was really, really close, and it should be 1 minute 14 seconds. Yeah, and you're right. It is just enough time to complete Sector 2 and Sector 3 within the time that's allocated. So indeed, it is that one more lap, just, you know, by a second or two potentially.
Thomas Neubauer, good recovery from that. Well, I'm not saying it was a mistake. I just think he lost grip and the car went a bit sideways. He managed to hold on to it. Doriane Penn got an awful lot closer. You can just see, Nico, that Doriane is just not prepared to push too hard and ruin her race and ruin the points haul for P3. But now John Vortique has found the hurry up as well, because he is right on terms now with Doriane Penn. We've got some backmarking traffic which could impact and affect these drivers then. We've got the remainder of this lap plus one more. Here is Ange Bardi then, who is leading in Trofeo Pirelli AM. And of course will take the Drivers' Championship in Trofeo Pirelli AM. And here you can see Thomas Neubauer and the top 3-4 Trofeo Pirelli drivers have got by the backmarket car with no problems at all. So around the turn we'll go now, and they're going to cross the timing line just before it counts down to 0. So this will become, as you can see, Alicia O'Donoghue crossing the line to start the final lap. In Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli, it's been something of an endurance this afternoon because of the red flag. And there you can see John Vortique. He wants to take a podium out of this, Nico. And again, Doriane Penn is finding herself in this very rare position of having to defend, Nico. We've not seen too much of this from Doriane Penn, because in truth, she's normally been so far up the road in the lead of the race, she's not had to defend. We all know that actually by making the 488 Challenge Evo a little bit wide, it's very difficult to overtake here on this very technical part of the Mugello circuit.
Yeah, absolutely, and she will battle to keep the distance to John Vortique just big enough so he's not in striking distance, because the moment that Vortique really has a chance to attack, she will have to think about, do I defend too much and therefore risk losing my finish anyway.
She ran a bit wide there, Nico. Forgive me, that was my deep inhale of breath. That was the reason for that. But I think you're right. I think she's managing this pretty well.
Yeah.
It just really proves what a well-rounded driver Doriane is. Hugely talented. Thomas Neubauer has got closer to Alicia O'Donoghue over the last few turns as well. Not close enough, I would suggest. But all of a sudden, Nico, through the chicane, look, it's down to 7 or 8 tenths between P1 and P2. So Alicia O'Donoghue I don't know whether he's lost a bit of pace or whether he's just playing with Thomas Neubauer here. I don't think his lead is at risk here. But I tell you what, it was getting a bit closer as the cars head towards the timing lane now. And Alessio Dono takes the win ahead of Thomas Neubauer and Doriane Penn, and then John Vortig. And Ongibardi, by winning the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Am race, as he heads towards the line now, if he takes the checkered flag, he becomes Trofeo Pirelli Am champion. Brilliant driving from Ongibardi. Has had a hugely consistent season. It hasn't been without one or two little controversies, it has to be said. He's had a drive through here and there, but he has taken the Trofeo Pirelli Am Championship, and there you can see his right hand is out, and there, confirmation he does become the 2022 champion for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Am. Well done, Ongibardi. Oh, what a race, Nico.
Yeah, punctuated by that long red flag, and it feels like forever that we had the race start, but Alessio Dono, heads off. It wasn't an easy race for all the circumstance, and he certainly withheld all the pressure from Thomas Neubauer, and his race start is really something for the Hall of Fame of Ferrari Challenge Racing.
Hall of Fame. I have to say, over the last few turns, Alessio seemed to lose something, and I thought, do you know what, this might not be all over yet, but in the end Alessio Dono was able to secure that P1, and wow, Thomas Neubauer taking P2. Well, for all the drama that we saw, there was plenty going on, Nico, to keep us entertained, and we hope keep you entertained as well. And the greatest news of all this race is that Marco Pulcini is okay. Ongibardi is the 2022 Trofeo Pirelli Am champion. And he'll be thrilled with that, Nico. Absolutely thrilled.
Absolutely. To give credit to our Asian Pacific competitors, in the shell, it's Yamaguchi, Park, and Isozaki who take the top 3 positions. In Pirelli, it's Imada, Uchida, as well as...
You're looking down the timing screen as you speak.
No, yeah, that is Imada ahead of Uchida, as far as I can tell, in the Pirelli class for Asia Pacific. And there it is on screen for you.
See, Kazuyuki Yamaguchi P1, J Park P2, Motohiko Isozaki P3. Kobayashi Am, Baby K, Shigeru Kamui, and David Dick are the 1, 2, 3. You just waited a moment.
Sorry. Over-eager as always, but not over-eager whatsoever, Alessio Dono. And I expect some joy and celebration from the team and the driver.
Although the driver is always cool, I think. Let's see. Let's see. Prove me wrong, Nico. And of course, Babalu's there, driver coach, to offer congratulations. Doriane Penn, altogether more muted today, Nico, because it's not very often we've, well, it's only the 3rd time in the entire season that we've seen her not win. Which says something, doesn't it?
Yes, yes, it does. If that's your off day, then you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm with you there. Big shout out to Nigel Schoendervaart. What a brilliant P2 he's taken in Trofeo Pirelli Am. And Christian Brunsberg back on the podium, P3 in that Formula Racing car. There is Alessio. And now, yeah, a bit of celebrations there. He's looking for someone, isn't he? He's looking. Where's Nico? Where's the, oh, that was a nice touch. Doriane Penn straight over there to congratulate Nico. That's the mark of a very good person, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Mark of a champion. Also mark of a champion. Whatever you can see in center shot now, because he is the champion.
He is the champion.
And he is the returning champion.
Yes, I mean, he's had so much success in the Ferrari Challenge. Now these celebrations are going to be big, because Ongibardi is a big character. surrounded by a fantastically emotional and great team. And Ange, who's struggling with his belt there, he gets it sorted out now. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on top of the car, which he'll be the first to admit is not the most sylph-like, but the roof stands it. And Ange is congratulated. He is champion.
2003, 2004, 2006 and 2022 Ferrari Challenge champion Ange.
Steady on, chap. Steady on, chap. Oh, only you, Nico. You're there with the information so quickly. Here's a confirmation of the classification for Trofeo Pirelli. Eliseo Dono then taking the win from Thomas Neubauer and Doriane Penn. And then it was John Bortique and Luca Nurmi and Max Mugello, Niccolo Marinangeli and Emanuele Maria Tabacchi then. They are the top in terms of Trofeo Pirelli. Of course, we'll bring you the same for Trofeo Pirelli Am in just a moment. But meantime, here is Eliseo Dono's car. The winner interview is coming up, as Paul McCartney said. And the number 19 car, Eliseo Dono.
Congratulations, Eliseo. I saw you when you arrived to the Parc Fermé, and your face, it's like you couldn't believe it.
Yes, in quali lap I found the traffic, but the race I win. I'm very happy today. The car is very competitive. So I took my first lap in first corner. I pulled the race. So I'm very happy. I thanks my team for the work, my family, my sponsor, and my friend.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Eliseo Dono then. Pick up the highlights for you to enjoy now.
Angie, we know so well this is not how you wanted to win the title, but we have two things to celebrate, that you won and that Marco is okay.
Yes, first of all, I'm so sorry for Marco. I'm not happy for this race because I think he's have a big crash. So his life is safe. This is important. I'm happy to win the championship, and we will see for make a big party tonight, and we will see at the end of the race the championship, and maybe for the world finale I stay concentrated.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Ange. Incidentally, Ange Bardi winning the 2022 Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Am Championship. There you can see confirmation of that by dint of him finishing P1. He actually won his first championship in the Ferrari Challenge, I am told, before Doriane Penn was even born.
That is true. 2003 versus January 2004.
Onge, can I just say, it was Nico told me that, and he told me to say it. Onge Barty finishing B1 ahead of Nigel Schoenberg. And we're going to be going up to the podium next. Stand by. Michele Mambelli will be driving the podium as Nico exits from the commentary studio, scared of Onge now. And we're going to be having the Trofeo Pirelli podium first, and here comes Doriane Penn to take P3. Here's Thomas Neubauer then, P2.
E vincitore di gara 1, la sua prima vittoria del Ferrari Challenge, Eliseo
Michele Mambelli then infusing Eliseo Dono onto the top step of the podium.
Il nostro grande applauso per i vincitori. Invito il sindaco del comune di Scarperia e San Piero, il dottor Franco Ignesti, a consegnare il trofeo d'onore per Doriane Penn.
Franco Ignesti then making the trophy presentation to Doriane Penn, and now to Thomas Neubauer before the race winners trophy is presented to our Trofeo Pirelli winner, and that is Eliseo Dono.
Abbiamo anche Lucio Vergani, ringraziamo il sindaco Lucio Vergani del Pirelli Motorsport.
And Pirelli Motorsport trophy is awarded to Eliseo as well. Photographs to be taken then, and let's take a look at the CDP Best Lap engineered car that took Eliseo Dono to the top step of the podium. There it is, Trofeo Pirelli winner. Up next, of course, we will have our Trofeo Pirelli AM podium. In the meantime, Doriane Penn now is 42 points ahead of John Vortigue. Then it's Luca Nurmi P3, the latest Drivers' Championship points. Brought to you with pinpoint accuracy at the end of that race, as everyone there has calculated who has done what and what that means for the Drivers' Championship, and that is what you see on screen right now. Doriane Penn still with some work to do before being able to seal the Drivers' Championship. I have to say it would be a big ask, I think, for John Vortigue to be able to take it away from Doriane, but nonetheless, it's not over until it's over, as they say. So great job done, and there you can see everyone is assembling ahead of the Trofeo Pirelli AM podium, which is the next podium we're going to see, because Christian Brunsborg takes P3. Nigel Schoenberg then takes P2.
E vincitore, il campione 2022, Onge Barty.
And Onge Barty then on the top step of the podium and is the champion.
Sfuma la marsigliese per il campione di Marsiglia Ange Bard e per gli altri vincitori i trofei d'onore sempre presentati dal dottor Franco Ignesti, sindaco del
So here
comune
comes
di
the trophy presentations then for Trofeo Pirelli Am. Christian Brunsborg receiving his trophy from Franco Ignesti. And then, of course, Nigel will receive his. Indeed, he does. And then Ange Bardi then on the top step of the podium, whose mantelpiece is fairly bowing from the race winners' trophies that he has back home, because he is such a talented driver, and he holds that P1 trophy aloft, and of course does enough to seal the championship as Pirelli present the Pirelli trophy to Ange Bardi as well. All drivers together then for the photographs with their trophies held aloft. And that's great to see. Well done to Ange Bardi then. Takes it again. Another Ferrari Challenge Championship. Let's take a look. Lovely little snapshot there of Ange Bardi on his way to the Trofeo Pirelli Am Drivers' Championship. Wonderful stuff. Good to see. Podium being ready then for our Asia-Pacific podiums to come as well, as you can see. Whenever it's a Ferrari Challenge event here at Mugello, it's so much more than just the racing, because lots of other activities going on. You can see the cars out there on the track now, and stand by. Here's Michele.
Second on the podium, secondo sul podio Hidai Uchida, e vincitore, the winner is Nobuhiro Imada.
And here we go then, Nobuhiro then to the top step of the podium. Here comes the national anthem.
Our claps for the winner podium. The trophy are presented by Andrea Bertolini, official driver, Ferrari Competizione GT.
Andrea Bertolini then here. Trophy presentation duties. Andrea Bertolini then official Competizione GT driver. Great drivers, Andrea Bertolini. And making the trophy presentations. Nobuhiro Imada then on the top step of the podium. Great to see. Lucio Vergani there from Pirelli, also making the Pirelli trophy presentation. And
now please together on the first step.
There we go, they get together on the top step of the podium. And here we can see the very car of Nobuhiro Imada for Rosso Scudiera that took the car and took the driver to P1. Interesting colour scheme on that car, one of very, very distinctive indeed. So still more podiums to come. Oh yes, we don't leave you shortchanged here when it comes to Ferrari Challenge, particularly when the Asia Pacific drivers are here as well, joining us for their final 2 rounds of this season here at Mugello, and then of course in Imola as well. So podium prepared for the next of our Asia-Pacific podiums. And we'll be bringing the drivers out onto the podium. Michele Mambelli there to the very right of the picture. You can see there who's in charge of all the presentations here, and also does a fine trade in tours as well. Takes a number of spectators around the circuit. Here's Kazuyuki Namaguchi then, who's going to be on the top step of the podium.
Inno nazionale.
And national anthem then for these drivers to play out right now. So applause will raid out then. As once again Andrea Bertolini is in charge of Trofeo presentations, and we have another podium to come after this one. Stand by. So Andrea then making the trophy presentations, as he does so well. Of course, he's been on the receiving end of a huge amount of trophies in his own racing career as well. Thoroughly nice man is Andrea Bertolini, and a great driver as well. And of course a Copa Gentleman Drivers Trophy as well. So double bubble there, brilliant stuff. And onto the top first step of the podium. And the photographs being taken. So well done to Kazuyuki Yamaguchi. The Kones Sosaka, he takes the win. So, need a sack barrow really to help with all the trophies to be taken away from the podium now before we ready it for the next and final podium from our Trofeo Pirelli race this afternoon here in Mugello. So the podium will be readied, and then our final podium will be underway. Very much looking forward to that, and looking forward already to Trofeo Pirelli qualifying tomorrow and the Trofeo Pirelli race to come tomorrow as well.
Terzo classificato, third on the podium, David Dicker.
Here comes David Dicker then taking P3.
David Dicker on the podium. Third on the podium.
So P3 for David Dicker then from New Zealand.
Second driver on the podium, Shigeru Kamihue. And the winner is Baby K.
Baby K then on the top step of the podium. National anthem once again.
Inno nazionale.
Trofeo presentations then as we hear the national anthem play out. Andrea Bertolini once again is my best guess. Indeed. It's never a guess because Ilaria always gives me the information. David Dicker then receives his P3 trophy. Shigeru Kamui receives his trophy. Baby K then receives the P1 trophy. Great stuff from our Asia Pacific drivers.
And now, guys,
top step of the podium, please.
The first step of this podium, please. No, with the trophy, David. David. Take the trophy.
There we have it then. Trofeo Pirelli race done and dusted. And of course, Copa Shell drivers in the Asia Pacific series as well. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you for more in Ferrari Challenge tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.